I'm wondering, though, if there are 2 or 3 tips you could give our entrepreneurs and small business owners about the types of things that they should be alerted to about, hey, the ground is shifting here, and you need to do that reconnaissance that you're talking about. Because, in the early stages, they're so busy trying to establish their market, demand for their good or service. There may not be in manufacturing where there are provisional patents being filed on anything. That's if they even have the resources to hire somebody to do those searches and interpret what they're finding. So for the smaller businesses, it may be service oriented because, as you say, change affects everything. And Drucker is absolutely right. Culture eats strategy for breakfast. What kinds of things can they be looking out for, just generally, to keep their head above water as they're getting their sea legs?
Well, they can look at a number of things, a number of litmus tests that they can use on their own culture. I mentioned, is the highest paid person's opinion in the room always win? That would be a sign of some institutional resistance. Do they have anybody doing reconnaissance? If they don't, then assign that to someone and formalize the process. So let's say that you do that, and somebody comes in and says, this is a really great opportunity. We found some university students. They're developing this. This is a perfect match to our product or our service, right? Or something that we're working on and hope to introduce in the future. And I think we should try to lock in an exclusive partnership or license or something along those lines. Let's say you do that. Well, then you have to have a budgeting process, right? And then you have to have a way to assign resources. One other thing that you want to think about is that, as you're going out and you're looking for these opportunities and you're trying to overcome institutional resistance by formalizing these processes. I mentioned bringing in 10 companies into a major company and saying, you're foolish if you don't pay attention to these things because they're coming your way, right? You can try to ignore them. You can pretend like they're not happening, but now it's in your face. You've touched, felt, seen that it's real, and you've talked to the makers of the product, right? So sometimes you might have to do something like that. Actually, you don't want to always be talking about them. You don't always want to be putting PowerPoint slides up. Sometimes you just got to bring the people in and bring the product in and make it real. So I think there are a lot of things that companies can do to overcome institutional resistance. One of them that's really key is to look at how you treat failure. When somebody attempts to innovate, right? When somebody attempts to do something differently and it doesn't work, what happens? What happens to that person's career? What happens to their opportunities? Take a good look at how failure is treated. Now, there are some failures you don't want, but there are some failures such as developing prototypes, running pilot tests on things, going out and doing market tests on potential opportunities. You really want to take a look at, okay, how do we manage failure? How do we as an organization treat that? Because you were back to talking about risk. You're not exactly going to encourage people to take risks, be open-minded, be innovation-focused if the penalty for failure of any type is too great. So that would be another cultural marker that you want to really pay attention to.